Have you ever felt that that constant pressure, to optimize every single moment, grab every skill that looks useful, fill up your schedule, even your house? It's like this modern thing, isn't it? All this relentless doing and having. And I don't know, sometimes in the middle of all that busyness, do you ever just stop and feel like, wait, am I actually missing something important here? Something deeper? Well, today's deep dive, we're going to tackle that feeling head on. We're actually reaching way back to an ancient source, chapter 11 of the Tao Te Ching, and we're going to unpack this really counterintuitive idea. The use of uselessness is the greatest use. Sounds like a bit of a riddle, doesn't it? But the suggestion is maybe the stuff that looks useless or empty, maybe that's actually vital for, success and feeling fulfilled, and maybe our obsession with the obviously useful is what's actually holding us back. So yeah, get ready for maybe a few aha moments about value. Okay, let's really try and get into this. The use of uselessness is the greatest use. It is a bit of a head scratcher. My first thought is just how? How can uselessness be the greatest use? What's Laozi getting at?
Well, it's fascinating because Laozi is really asking us to look, beyond the surface. He suggests we tend to focus on the tangible things, the immediately useful stuff. Like maybe a fancy car for status, or learning a coding language for a better job, or networking like mad for opportunities. These all have clear benefits right now. But he says this non-being, this emptiness, what he calls wu, is actually a more profound state, a higher state even. Think about it this way: being free from debt, or free from constant worry, or being healthy. These aren't things you get. They're states of not having something negative, an absence. And isn't that what we often value most?
Okay, so it's about finding value in what isn't physically there, not just what is. How does the Tao Te Ching itself help us picture this? Are there examples in the text?
Oh, absolutely. Chapter 11 gives us 3 really potent everyday images. First, picture a wheel. It says, 30 spokes share the wheel's hub. The spokes, the rim, they're solid, they're being. But the crucial part, the thing that actually lets the wheel turn and do its job, it's the empty space, the wu, right at the center. Without that hole, it's just a solid chunk of wood or metal. It can't move.
Right. A solid disc can't roll or carry anything, so its very fullness makes it useless for what a wheel is supposed to do. That's a twist.
Exactly. And then think about a pot or a cup, a vessel. We shape clay, right? We mold it. The clay itself, the walls of the pot, that's the being. But what gives the pot its purpose? It's the empty space inside. That's what lets it hold water or soup or whatever. That emptiness is its function. A solid block of clay, however nice it looks, well, it can't hold anything.
Yeah, you definitely can't drink from a solid lump of clay. Okay, I get the wheel, I get the pot. What about something bigger, like a house?
Same idea, just scaled up. You build walls, put on a roof. That's the structure, the being. But then you cut doors and windows into those walls. You're actively creating empty space. And it's that emptiness inside the rooms, the openings, that makes it a place you can live in, that provides shelter, that makes it a home. A solid block isn't a house.
So if we put those together, the wheel, the vessel, the house, it seems like, okay, yes, the being, the physical stuff, the structure, you need it, it's the foundation, but it's the non-being, the emptiness, the wu, that's where the actual function, the real value comes from. Wow. That really does flip how you'd normally think about it.
It does. It's this ancient insight just cutting through our usual assumptions about what's valuable and how things actually, work.
Okay, and I think you mentioned earlier, this isn't just one flat idea, right? There are layers to this. Like, most people maybe only get the first part of it.
That's right. There are really 2 deep layers here. The first layer is about seeing how wu, this emptiness, actively enables great use. It's not just passive. And conversely, how you, or fullness, can actually become a limitation. It might create small temporary uses, but it can block the bigger potential. Think about your stomach. Simple analogy. When it has empty space wu, it can take in food and water. That's its main vital function. But once it's completely full, it's limited. You can't eat anymore. Its function is actually stopped by being full.
That stomach analogy clicks. But it also makes me think, we humans seem, almost scared of emptiness. Like, we instinctively see wu as loss or nothingness. Why do you think we're so driven to just fill every gap?
That's a really insightful point. Seems almost hardwired, doesn't it? We crave security, completeness. An empty room feels wrong, maybe insecure, it'll be filled with furniture. Sometimes too much furniture. Empty time makes us fidgety, uncomfortable, so we grab our phones, scroll, watch something. Anything to avoid just being in that quiet space. An empty mind, that starts wandering, maybe overthinking, so we blast it with music, podcasts, constant input. We've sort of absorbed this idea that more is better and empty means lacking something.
Yeah, I see that everywhere. Like, in the workplace, sometimes managers tax schedule solid, right? Because they think idle time means people are slacking off. But what happens? They choke out the very space you need for, like, creative thinking, for new ideas to bubble up. There's just no room left.
Exactly. Or think about parenting. Some parents fill every minute of a kid's day with classes, sports, tutors, thinking they're giving them an advantage, a head start. But often what they're unintentionally doing is squeezing out the child's own natural curiosity, their ability to just explore things on their own, figure stuff out. You get this packed schedule, but maybe less room for genuine discovery.
It's like we're so busy adding things, we forget the value of not things. So this is where that idea of leaving blank comes in. Lu bai, is that the term? Actively making space.
Precisely. Lu bai.
Yeah.
Think about traditional Chinese landscape painting. Those areas of blank silk or paper. They aren't just empty. They're absolutely crucial. They create a sense of depth, of mist, of infinite possibility. The viewer's imagination kind of fills it in. Without that emptiness, the painting would feel, well, cluttered, flat, then nothing is part of the picture.
And applying that to life, the benefits must be huge. Like an empty mind, when you intentionally quiet down, that's where maybe real inspiration can strike. Because it's not just noise. An open heart, not already crammed with judgments, can connect more. A humble mind, kind of empty of arrogance, can learn faster. It's like having a clean slate. But what about deeper benefits, beyond just creativity or learning?
That's a great question, because it does go deeper. This active leaving blank, it's like building an inner reservoir. A source of resilience. It's where you can actually process things, understand your own feelings without just reacting. It's where your intuition might get a chance to speak up. It's not just about doing more, it's about building this inner capacity, like creating a little sanctuary inside yourself. That space lets you recharge, lets you see things more clearly, and ultimately, lets you go further, achieve more, but hopefully with more calm, more clarity. And if we take that idea and look at it over time, that brings us to the second layer of meaning, which is just as profound, really. This layer sees useless use as those activities that, well, they don't seem to offer much right now, no immediate payoff. But over the long haul, they give you this continuous, compounding, massive value.
Okay, so it's not about actually being useless, but appearing useless in the short term while secretly building up this huge long-term benefit. Sounds a bit like compound interest in finance.
That's a perfect analogy. Exactly like compound interest. You invest a little bit consistently in something that grows early on. The returns are tiny. You barely notice them. But stick with it over years, and that growth starts to snowball. It compounds. And eventually the gains can be, well, almost unimaginable compared to where you started. It's the power of quiet, steady accumulation.
Can you give some examples of this useless great use? Things that maybe don't feel like standard self-help advice, but really connect to this Taoist idea. Because, our instinct is always for the quick win.
Okay, think about things like truly unstructured time, not scheduled creative time, but just letting your mind wander. Maybe going for a walk in nature with absolutely no goal other than just being there. Or maybe wrestling with a really complex philosophical idea just because it interests you, not because you need it for a project tomorrow. Or dedicating time, maybe daily, to just quiet reflection, not even formal meditation, just silence. Mental space. These things don't solve today's urgent email, right? But they build your inner world. They cultivate resilience, insight, maybe wisdom over time. If you consistently make space for these unproductive things, you might find that 3-5 years down the line, your ability to handle complexity, to innovate, to stay calm under pressure, it's vastly greater than someone who only ever focused on the next urgent task.
That really helps frame it. So if that's useless great use long term, compounding then useful small use must be the other side of the coin, the immediate fix.
It's exactly right. Useful small use is about those actions that give you instant gratification or solve a very immediate pressing problem. But the value is, well, it's limited. It doesn't last. Like eating when you're hungry. Solves the hunger pang right now. Totally necessary. Or maybe playing a quick video game for a burst of sun. Instant dopamine hit. These things give quick results, they serve a purpose, but they're fleeting, aren't they? Hunger comes back. The fun from the game fades. They don't really build anything lasting in terms of your core capacity or transformation.
Okay, this brings up a really important question then. Does Laozi see these two, useless and useful, as being totally separate? Like, should we pick one over the other, or is it more complicated?
That's absolutely crucial. And yeah, it's where people can misunderstand. Laozi doesn't set them up as either. He sees them as dialectically related. They're connected, unified. Useless great use gives you that profound, lasting impact. But yeah, it doesn't fix your immediate problem. Useful small use gives you the quick fix, the immediate result. But it's shallow. It doesn't last. You actually need both.
So what are the pitfalls then? In our modern lives, how do we mess this up? Where do we get the balance wrong?
Well, the danger is going to extremes, right?
Yeah.
If you only focus on the deep, useless, great use stuff, all long-term thinking, reading philosophy, reflecting, and you kind of look down on the practical, useful, small use things, well, you might become impractical, maybe a bit detached. All strategy, no tactics to handle today. But the opposite extreme is maybe more common today. If you only chase the immediate small use, the quick wins, the instant fixes, putting out fires all day, and you never invest in that deeper, useless, great use, you just stagnate. You solve lots of little problems maybe, but you never make real progress. You never build that deeper capacity. You end up just reacting all the time without any real foundation.
So the answer really is balance. You need both working together. How do we actually do that, practically speaking?
It's about conscious integration. Day to day, you intentionally carve out time and space to cultivate that useless great use. That's like building up your reserves, your fuel for the long journey, the deep thinking, the quiet time, the learning just for learning's sake. And then, when you face immediate challenges, crises, specific problems, you draw on your useful small use skills. Those are your tools for right now. You're firing bullets, as the analogy goes, the quick actions, the immediate solutions. It's having both that long-term strategic depth and the short-term tactical flexibility. You need the deep roots and the ability to respond effectively in the moment.
Wow. This whole deep dive, it really gives you a completely different way to look at what's valuable, doesn't it? It's a powerful reminder that the things we often just dismiss, the quiet moments, the slow growth you can't quite measure yet, the deliberate blank spaces in our lives, those might actually be where the real potential lies, the source of the greatest impact and the most lasting value. So maybe as you go through your week, think about this. Where are you constantly, almost automatically, trying to fill every bit of emptiness? And what seemingly useless things might you be neglecting? Things like, quiet reflection, maybe some unstructured playtime just to see what happens, or just time for your mind to drift without an agenda. Could those actually be the key to your long-term growth? What if sometimes doing nothing is the most productive thing you can do? And maybe here's a final thought to chew on. What empty space in your life right now, if you actually protected it, cultivated it intentionally, what might that become? Could it be the hidden wellspring of your greatest future strength or your next big insight? Where could you choose to deliberately leave blank, just to make room for something truly transformative, something that maybe needs that quiet emptiness to even begin to grow?